Hey everybody, zjayfi here. I want to do a quick video on the Ravenous. I don't know why. I was just thinking about it, and it got me down into the firing range, and I wanted to show y'all what I kind of learned about it today. Part of the credit goes to a video I saw on YouTube today. I'll get into that later. What this guy's contention was, but right now I just wanted to point out something that I noticed, which is that if you read this very carefully, it says when detonated, each offensive primer deals 100% weapon damage, while each defensive primer grants 4% bonus armor and 10% damage to armor plates. I think this guy had misread it slightly as damage to armor, which it is not. It is only damage to armor plates for heavy bosses, which that's what this weapon is for. It's great for tearing apart those heavy armored guys in the raid. But one of the things that I noticed when I was watching his video is that each offensive primer deals 100% weapon damage. It doesn't say anything at all about explosive damage. So a lot of times I see people running this particular build, they'll have two pieces of Grupo Sombra for the extra explosive damage, or they'll run the Demolitionist for the explosive damage, which I am running Demolitionist, but I'll show you what that's all about. Demolitionist provides additional damage to target out of cover. This is what people are running Demolitionist for. Or this is what I'm running Demolitionist for with the Ravenous, right? 5% damage to targets out of cover. With the Fox Knee Pass, that's 8% damage to target out of cover. And the bonus on the weapon itself is 10% damage to target out of cover. That's 23% right there. Damage to target out of cover. So people are getting that extra damage to target out of cover thinking that it's the explosive damage that's buffing them, but it is not the explosive damage that's buffing them. So a couple of things that I was goofing around with as I was testing this was there's a lot of different ways you can set this up. Right now I have 47.7 critical hit chance and 202.9% critical hit damage. Now this guy was saying that, okay, if you get that extra damage to armor, for example, 2 pieces of Walker Harris would give you 5% additional damage to armor, that it's going to hit harder. I was unable to replicate that, assuming that I put in, you know, this particular chest piece, and I set it for 15 yards. So I took Intimidate completely out of the equation, and I compared it to the Providence Unbreakable chest piece. So Intimidate was not a factor with the bonus armor because I tested it at 15 yards. And what I found was that the base weapon damage did go up because of the 5% weapon damage, but the critical went down because I lost crit damage. And so when I tested it against an invulnerable elite target, it was absolutely the same. It was no better, no worse. They both averaged about 3.1 million DPS per second. But what this did get me going, thinking on, was, okay, how else could you use this weapon in the game? Now this is the way I have it set up for the raid, right? But it got me thinking that this thing does in fact provide its own bonus armor as long as you use the left shoulder to double up its stacks, right? So Intimidate would absolutely be a viable chest piece for it. You could also, if you did want to run it as like a PvP build, you could also run it with Perfect Adrenaline Rush. Pop our mods in there. Yeah, where'd our chest piece go? Oh, right here. You pop that in there, pop this in here. And here's the thing, at this point, this doesn't do us any good because it's just headshot damage. So you want to swap that out for a piece of Cheska. And right there you've got 44% critical hit chance, which is kind of low, but you still got 189 critical hit damage. Now if you could find a way to adjust that, I have kind of a crappy Cheska holster here, But you could even give up some of this critical hit damage right here for a crit chance mod and bring that back up, I believe, to almost 50%. Yeah, 49.8 and 178. And you've got yourself one hell of an Intimidate Adrenaline Rush build. Now you're going to be getting bonus armor from two sources, because you're not only going to be getting it from the Ravenous weapon, but you're also going to be getting it from the Adrenaline Rush backpack. So you could really, 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 really stack up some bonus armor here. Get a little bit closer. Let me try this out against a invulnerable. I keep killing the targets. There you go. I mean, you can really stack a lot of bonus armor with this build if you were to run it in PvP or PvE even, especially like, or even in the raid maybe. If you were babysitting Morozova, you could really shred her to bits with this, or, which, you know, obviously is not a good thing necessarily, but you could easily do the damage that you're allowed to do to her. You could, what was I just thinking of? Yeah, it looks, you know, so let's say I had somebody on my team that's running Vanguard. I proc a full double stack worth of defensive primers, and I've got a couple enemies within a few yards of me. I'm really going to have a lot of bonus armor, and that'd be a lot of survivability right there. And with Intimidate, it's going to make up for whatever crit you lost out on. The only question really in this is, am I going to be within 10 yards frequently enough to make it worthwhile? So I just thought I would share a couple of these thoughts, show you guys a couple of these builds. There is one more thing I think might be worth considering, and that would be the Strikers battle gear. If you had 15% weapon handling, so better handling on the rifle, plus 15% rate of fire, plus you start adding some stacks. Now, I'm not recommending you run the chest piece. I don't have a Strikers holster, mask, gloves, whatever set. Also keep in mind you'd be losing some damage because you're going to lose your multiplicative damage to target, damage to armor and damage to target out of cover, at least some of it anyway. You still have what's on the weapon and what's on the specialization, and the damage to armor from the Walker and Harris brand set. So you will be losing some of it, but when your striker stacks were to get full, you would really, really be cleaning people's clocks. So that may be another PvP option that could be considered. I don't have that all worked out, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think I'm going to farm 4 pieces of striker just to test it. But if you did have that, it might be something to take a look at. So what I'm thinking, okay, maybe I have 4 of these pieces. Maybe I could get a Providence holster, one similar to this one that I could put armor on, or a Grupo mask that I could put armor on, or even if I had a different backpack that I didn't mind putting armor on. And I could get some armor into this build. If you could make it like 3 and 3, 3 reds, 3 blues, or even 2 blues and 4 reds, you could make one hell of a PvP build with this weapon right here. Or you could even do it with strikers. There's lots of things, there's lots of options here that I just don't have time to explore. But I thought I'd share them with you guys in this video. As for me, for right now, for my money, in the raid, I like to have that 100% guaranteed damage to every target. I don't care for conditional damage so much. Lately, I haven't been that into glass cannon as well. I don't have a Providence glass cannon on this character because I've been running Unbreakable in the raid. Getting more and more confident every time we run Iron Horse. I'm thinking about going maybe something other than something other than unbreakable. But for right now, it still continues to save my life at least once a raid in the Morozova and Williams encounters. So for my money, anyway, this setup, the 3-piece Providence, 1-piece Grupo, with the Petrov and the Petrov contractors and the Overlord Fox Prayers, is still the best possible setup, just because the crit damage is so insanely strong. Remember, the explosion damage when you switch shoulders is all based off weapon damage. So if you crit both those hits, it is possible to hit 11, 12 million damage. It is possible. And that's going to be unequaled. But maybe it might be worth it to, like, okay, let's say rather than even intimidate, if I had the same thing, if I had an unbreakable Walker Harris and I had a vigilance Walker Harris, it may be, well, I shouldn't say maybe, it would be every bit as viable. It wouldn't hit any harder, but you could absolutely put in something, or let's say you found just a Walker Harris Vigilance backpack with an Intimidate, and let the Ravenous proc the bonus armor for you for the Intimidate bonus. You know, if you're doing anything other than babysitting Morozova, say you're working a door or something like that, that would absolutely be valuable. I don't know. The whole point of this video was just to give you guys some ideas of where you could go with it and throw some stuff out there. So, wrapping it up, I'm just keeping in mind that this all procs from weapon damage, has nothing to do with the explosion damage. Stacking damage to target out of cover and damage to armor. Multiplicative damage is what makes this thing hit so hard, because it has 10% of its own damage to target out of cover. You can stack more multiplicative damage to armor with Walker, but what you lose is what you lose in crit damage is made up for by the gain damage to armor. So it's a wash. It's a draw. But absolutely, you could consider running a Vigilance backpack with an Intimidate chest piece and procking your own bonus armor with the rifle. I mean, there's so many ways you could go. 3-piece, 4-piece, or 3-piece Strikers. Gamble with it. I definitely want to go 4-piece because I want to get the stacks. But again, yeah, so many options with this. Great new stuff I've been thinking about. Let me know what you think. If you guys got some great ideas, type them in the comments. Thanks for watching.